Can we just acknowledge how wild you are? Can we just take a look at our armpits real quick?
They're really intense.
Wild.
I'm American and I grow my armpits out.
Can I smell them?
Yeah, they're pretty intense right now. There's a lot going on in there.
Actually, that's nice. It's like a wild woman.
It's definitely wild. I mean, I'm clean. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any pharmaceutical things in me.
Do you eat onions and garlic?
Not that much.
Andre told me that if you eat onions and garlic, you smell more under your armpits.
It actually doesn't make my stomach feel that good.
You smell like a fresh wild woman.
Thank you.
I like that flower behind you.
Yeah. We're getting along.
What does rewilding mean to you? Like, the importance of our connection to nature, and I think that's actually why we're seeing such a big shit show on the planet right now, because we've forgotten our connection to nature.
Yeah, that we're already always connected. I think for me, rewilding is the combination of diving into actual nature and feeling the frequency of nature as our true essence, and also doing that inner work of bringing all that is unconscious to the conscious. Rewilding is the alchemical marriage of the darkness of the feminine uniting with the light of the masculine of my own consciousness, and learning how to fuck myself open to God in every moment by meeting myself in those ways.
Can you just like explain a little bit about re-fucking yourself in wild? What was it?
Fucking yourself open to God? Well, I mean, there's lots of different ways, but it's about being so merged with the moment that there is an ecstasy that is born from the body, even in pain. I've been in a deep process of grief, and part of the grief has been around my own behavior and my own ways of showing up and not showing up, and getting into the texture of enjoyment that I have just in the human experience. So even in the grief, can I meet myself in the depth of the grief, so much so that the sensation is so present that it brings a shake. And this shake can be identified as pain, or it can almost be identified as orgasm, that ultimately it's just sensation. And if I can remember that to be wild means to be in the sensation of the now, that whatever the sensation is why we came here. We didn't come here to reach enlightenment. We came from the light. We came here for separation in order to remember the light in every moment. So if I can bring the light of my conscious awareness into the unconscious, which lives in the body, which lives in my patterns, if I can bring the light of my awareness, which is the masculine, into the unconscious, which is the feminine, I'm literally making love to myself in the moment. I'm doing it right now.
I think I fucked myself open to God the other day.
Tell me.
I was in an ice plunge.
Yes.
And it was so painful that it actually got so good. The blurry line between the pain and the pleasure became one, and I pretty much was like in an orgasmic state in the ice plunge.
Yes.
I felt like I was fucking myself open to God in that moment.
Absolutely.
Because I'm literally just all in on whatever the sensation is, as opposed to attaching the story to the sensation and therefore suffering, because I'm telling myself that this is something that should not be happening, when actually it's the most perfect thing that should be happening.
Bingo, bingo. And that, I mean, that's where the whole idea of orgasmic birth comes from, right? The concept of orgasmic birth isn't that birth in and of itself is a sensation of orgasm, but that we can bring our consciousness so much to sensation that we become bigger than the pain, that we become the container for the pain that the body's experiencing it, so much so that we no longer define it as pain, but can just ride the waves of sensation.
Well, I'm definitely signed up for an orgasmic birth.
Yes.
I feel like that would be the ultimate goal. So we got the long hairy armpits, we got the pheromones.
Full on. Fuck myself open to God.
Oh, fucking yourself open to God.
Yeah.
What about, a little bit of nudity?
Yeah, a lot.
Bare feet, of course.
Bare feet, bare body as much as possible.
In nature.
4 days ago, I went for my first full naked run in the woods. I've been naked places, but this was like movement through the woods. I was traveling from point A to point B, and I found a really remote spot, laid down my clothes, took off up this fucking mountain, just like bare butt. And I was in such a state of emotion that there was grief, there was rage, there was joy, there was ecstasy. And then when I went up this mountain, it all merged. There was no distinction between the grief and the ecstasy. It became one, and all it was surging orgasmic sensation in my body. What is true wildness is there is no distinction, that the paradox becomes one. Grief and joy become one, that it is just sensation, that the divine, God, spirit also speaks to us through the sensations of the body.
I got no shoes on.
Got lots of bare feet up in here. And this is all learnings, I want to be super clear. These are like notes from a student in the field. I'm not like positioning myself as some wild fucking expert.
Wild fucking expert. Your business card says wild fucking expert.
There's a lot of ways you can take that.
Yeah. If you were to abbreviate 3 tips on how to rewild, go.
1, listen to yourself. That edge of like, oh, I don't want to do that thing. That's the thing, right? That edge. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but that edge.
So what's that thing? What's that thing that you don't want to do? and that you find your edge at it, this is now permission slip for you to do that thing.
Full permission slip. That's number one. Number two is take off your clothes. Get out of Wi-Fi. Get off the screen. Like, take off the domestication layers. Get out of the box rooms. Get in the trees. Get into that space where your human body can remember that it's also an animal. Because through the animal, also the divine speaks.
Disclaimer. Take off your clothes in a space that is
legal.
In the middle of the dollar store, just like stripping off. I'm an animal. I'm a wild animal. Okay, 3.
I think number 3 of wilding is start to question what are actually needs versus desires. I feel like I need this kind of food, or I need these kinds of clothes, or I need to have this kind of toothpaste, or I need. Those are desires, and there's nothing wrong with desire. You can have as much luxury as you want. Just classify it for what it is. It's a desire. What we need is actually really simple. We need a basic shelter to keep our bodies warm and safe. We need basic food to keep our poop running and our bodies healthy. And we need clean water. And then we need tribe. Those are our basic needs. Other than that, we don't have any other needs. And so when we start to classify our desires as needs, we are domesticating ourselves. And that is what capitalism, consumerism has done to us. It's taken our desires and flipped them into needs so that we become slaves to our own needs. So get really curious and really investigative around what is an actual need versus desire.
So the domestication kind of reminds me from an alien perspective, looking at Earth and seeing us like genetically modifying dogs and then putting them on leashes and then owning them and walking them around. It's like we as humans have become these genetically modified domesticated dogs on leashes, and what you just created was a 3-step process to stop us from being these genetically modified dogs on leashes walking around, actually to be rewild into our truest essence. And to break off the layers of conditioning. That song in my head, I'm on the edge.
Yes. Of glory.
And I'm sniffing your armpit.
Exactly.
All right, well, that's Briana, everybody.
Love ya.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Magic.
I'll eat it.
All right. Bless.
Bye-bye. That was epic.